Hello everyone, I'm Rizwan and today I want to talk about filmmakers and clout. So, firstly, I want to tell you about some benefits that filmmakers could get when they have a certain amount of popularity or clout. So, first things first, of course, it is that if you have clout, more people will want to work with you, even if it's your, let's say, your first short film or any number of short film, whether regardless of your experience, people would want to support you because you already have clout. So that could be pretty good, right? You could even if you have a really relatively big short film, you could get people to work on it a little more easier than people who might not really have any clout. And another thing that cloud gives you is that you, of course, just like more people want to work with you, you'll also have more resources. Like for example, you could have a better camera or better location, or just overall the production quality might increase because you're getting more resources overall, whether it be equipment or locations or props even. So of course that could make you tell your vision more. And another thing is that when you have more clout, more people will want to watch your films and support you because they already know you from before, and you will have a chance to increase your popularity because right now you've made a film, or maybe this is your next film. So it's like you get more and more popular with the crowd, and they want to support you more when you make the next film moving on. So those are the benefits of having clout. But I don't think it's all good because sometimes clout comes with its own negatives. So one of the things is that just because you have more clout does not make your short films better. It could still mean you still have to put time into the story and your skills. Otherwise, the no matter how much resources you have, no matter how much actors you could bring in, if you yourself don't have that skill to make that short film good, then it's not going to be that worth it. You might as well make something that's really small with just a small group of people that you know, or even yourself, and that could that could have an even higher quality than something with, like, let's say, a bigger budget. And the same thing goes for Hollywood. We see a lot of really big budget movies with from really big studios, and sometimes it ends up really boring and it's not really that interesting. But then you see a movie that's made on a really low budget, that's indie, or it's just like made with very few people, but you start to you get in, and um, you're more interested in watching it. It's not boring to you, and so there it can vary from any range, and sometimes when you have more resources, you got more to lose because you got all these people, and if the movie's not very good, then they might not really want to support you. But if you make a really small film on your own and it fails, you don't really have a um, it's not that big of a loss because it's just you making that film on your own, and you didn't bring all these people in. So that's one of the things. And another thing with having more clout is that it garners unnecessary attention into your private life, which, if you're trying to be a really private person, sometimes uh, you shouldn't be going out too much in terms of filmmaking and um, socializing sometimes, because it feels like a lot of people are looking into you a little too much and trying to see, okay, what are you doing, what are you doing at this time, what are you doing at that time. That can affect your mental health sometimes. So that's why maybe chasing is not really for everyone. So you should be very careful of what kind of information you share with people. I mean, this can be just in general, but I think for filmmaking, it really does depend a lot on having a certain amount of clout. So uh, I would just say you should be uh, really careful with your time in a way, and not get too caught up in socializing or having a lot of clout. And yeah, that brings it into my next point, which is that um, having a lot of clout can come from making a really small film for sure. And after you make that small film, you could get really popular, and sometimes it might start to get into your head, which is very dangerous, because at the end of the day, the more ego you have, the more it's gonna affect you when you go down, because everyone in life has a point where they're failing, or they're not moving up, or they have a really big loss. So I think that when you don't have that hard work within you, and you basically you didn't really work that hard for your clout, then the next time that you do something that's really not very good, you make a movie that's really bad, then it all comes crashing down. Or sometimes it's even just a film that doesn't get any views, even though you worked really hard on it, and it's you worked harder than your previous film, which got a lot of views. So you should be very careful with that, and not let it get to your head. Whether it's a success or failure, you should always try your best to take it with a grain of salt, because it's sometimes really unpredictable. And as humans, we're constantly learning, constantly developing. So um, that's how it is for artists as well, filmmakers. And and so just make sure having a certain amount of clout is important, because that's the only way that you could, maybe even for getting clients, getting more people to work with you, getting more job opportunities, so that you can work with someone else that you want to work with. But you should also be very careful of how much clout you want, and how much attention you want to yourself, because it could very quickly go really wrong. And even if someone's really extroverted, I think it's still the same. It could get into their head, and they couldn't exactly live in a normal way. I think as humans, everyone has a private life, and everyone has some time that they need for themselves and just themselves. So that's why, just like how I made in my previous video about social media, I think you guys can connect that together with this video as well, because social media and cloud nowadays is very popular, and it's quite tied together as well. So just make sure that you don't get too caught up in the cloud, but also try your best to at least have a certain amount of clout, and just enjoy the process of filmmaking. So that's it. Cheers.